We are backstage at the Bluesfest, where we get a chance to get a little insight on the artists that'll be playing during this wonderful festival, get some insight on what they do and how they do and what motivates the love they have for the music that they share with all of us. I'm Karen Henderson from the public radio station WRKF here in Baton Rouge, and I'm here with an artist that Rolling Stone has listed among one of the top 10 new artists that you need to know. She makes her stop here in our Red Stick City as she goes across the country on her Me and the Devil tour. Her debut album is Beyond the Bloodhounds. Adia Victoria, good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
Appreciate you stopping by before you hit the stage later on today. And as I mentioned, you've got your debut album out. We've had a chance to listen to some of the albums. Why don't we start, some of the singles from it, why don't we start with the name of this album, Beyond the Bloodhounds, and tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. The name comes from the slave narrative, Incidences in the Life of a Slave Girl by Harriet Jacobs. It's a book that I read about 2 years ago. It details a woman's struggle to escape her master in North Carolina, but at the same time stay near her two children who were too young to make the run to freedom to the north. And so she devised this plan where she lived in her freed grandmother's cabin on her master's property, in a crawl space between the ceiling and the roof. It was like an attic, and it was 3 feet high, 7 feet long. It was too tall for her, or too short for her to stand up. And she was in that space for 7 years, and she devised this plan where she had a friend who had gone north write letters postmarked to her master in her name. So he thought that she was in New York or Canada or wherever, but she was really still on his property. But the space was so small that her body atrophied, but she knew that she had to do that to be near her children, and she wrote in one part that all she wanted to do was get she and her children beyond her master's bloodhounds to freedom. And
it's a gripping story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that one hit me in the gut.
The innocence of childhood to not knowing what being a slave meant to really being enlightened to what that all entailed. And then her desire when she made it to freedom to let other people know, people in the North that were free, what it really meant to be a slave.
Absolutely.
So take that from that story and how it grabs your heart to some of the cuts on this album.
Yeah.
Stuck in the South, for instance.
Absolutely. Stuck in the South, I wrote a few years ago from the vantage point of my teenage self. I grew up in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and I hadn't traveled anywhere outside of the South. I hadn't lived outside of the South, and I kind of felt as a teenager that I was being kind of shackled and bound by the geography, by Southern society. I felt stifled. I felt atrophied, and I felt myself going insane, and there was nothing new happening. I felt like this circular pattern of thinking, and I think that kind of it manifests in the music. It's just like this roundabout, and I think that that's very Southern in a way where we can't really get past our past and think to progress.
I think there's an element too, maybe that's just a part of growing up. You know, that feeling
Absolutely.
of being trapped or not knowing who you are, where you go next. And
Oh, God,
all that.
Mom, you're ruining my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And since you have your guitar, just happen to have it here, not like we planned it or anything.
Yeah.
Why don't we get you to
I always
sing
have a guitar.
Yeah, wake up with it.
Yes. It's called Stuck in the South. I don't know nothing but my own misery. Ooh, I've been dreaming of swinging from that old palmetto tree. Yeah, I've been thinking about making tracks But the only road I know, it's going to lead me back. I am stuck in the South. I'm stuck in the South. I don't know nothing about Southern bells, but I can tell you something about Southern hell. When your skin give 'em cause to take and take. I've been itching like a bitch with fleas, and I've been twitching cold in the summer heat, saying please get me out, or God put me down. I'm stuck in the South. I'm stuck in the South. I'm stuck in the South. Clean my room, I'm gonna dust my broom. I'm leaving soon, I am leaving soon. I'm gonna sing my blues, bleached and blues. I am leaving soon. I can't get stuck in the South. I'm stuck in the South. I am stuck in the South.
Love it. Adia, stuck in the South, it's not a geographical stuck in the South. I know what were you, from South Carolina,
South
right?
Carolina, Spartanburg County.
South. And you are now living where?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. So when you say, with this song, Stuck in the South, where are you going? What is that in your mind when you say stuck in the South? That's a mindset?
It's a mindset, first and foremost, because, there's people that live in the South and get along just fine. And I'm now one of them. But, I think it's just it's a self-defeating kind of feeling where you can't get past yourself. And I guess you kind of project it onto the world around you. But, yeah, it's just a feeling of powerlessness and escape and just wanting to be past yourself.
Let me throw some of the words out that I hear, and I've read from those who review your album, and in particular this song. Words like eerie, a little creepy, intriguing. Angry is a word I hear a lot when I hear, read about reviews about your album. And another one is rebellious.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did the words hit you when you hear that? When people hear your songs, and those are the words that they come up with.
I mean, I think part of my art is expressing, as a woman and a woman of color, is expressing these emotions that haven't been afforded to our humanity. I think that there's a very particular way that Blackness is accepted in our society that's palatable, and it's made comfortable for mainstream America, especially Black women. That we're so tabooed and controlled and policed, our presence. And I kind of wanted to scratch the surface a bit of what I was supposed to be. And I don't necessarily go out and think like, oh, I'm creepy, I'm eerie, but it's like, well, I'm also not going to let like patriarchy define like my humanity. And there's like a whole spectrum of my humanity that I want to explore. And if that comes across as creepy or eerie or angry, okay.
Let's talk about your process.
Absolutely.
And do you are these poems set to music? Do you come with music? How does the process work for you?
I mean, I think the process is different for each song. This song, for example, I was learning Going Down South by R.L. Burnside. And as I was learning the song, I was just like, oh, I kind of like this feel. So I just kind of changed it, played with the rhythm a little bit, and then the words came, and the words have their own rhythm and musicality. And I guess that's what draws me to writing, being like a poet first, is I like making my words sing. And so I guess it was just a natural progression into setting it to music, picking up a guitar and being like, okay, how can I further enhance these stories?
Where did music begin for you? You sing, you play guitar as a child, and
No, as a child, I sang in the choir in my Seventh-day Adventist school in our church. I played the tuba in middle school, which was bigger than me before my growth spurt. And then I picked up the guitar at 21 when I was living in Atlanta. my best friend left it for me. She moved, and she's like, do you want this guitar? And I said, sure. And I just started playing it, and I became obsessed. And this was at the exact same time that I discovered the blues.
And you say discover the blues. What are some of the artists? Who were you listening to?
I got into Skip James, Victoria Spivey, Robert Johnson, Arl Burnside. And this came after more contemporary artists like the White Stripes and then the Black Keys. I wanted to figure out, like, well, what were you guys listening to? Because you sure enough didn't make this stuff up. So I just kind of went backwards and, went from there.
And what is it about that the blues you think that drew you in? I mean, there's a lot of types, and I hear other types, influences in your music, rock and punk, and so. But the blues is what you said you started with. What was it about it?
I think that it came at a time in my life. I was 21, living in Atlanta, where I was open to exploring my identity outside of like my childhood. I was ready to find my own influences, and the blues kind of spoke to me for the first time as a Black woman in the South. Like it made me feel known in a way that other art forms hadn't. Like popular music, I always felt that they were trying to get me to be something that I wasn't, like flawless or swag or whatever. But I was like, no one is really like that all the time. But the blues, they would make jokes about being poor, displaced, like away from home, like oppressed. And I was like, this is what I'm feeling, and that's what I gravitated toward. The first song I wrote was a song called Caravan. I wrote it while I was a telemarketer filling out people's cable subscriptions. And it was just this song of this young girl who finds this runaway guy in New Orleans, and he's being chased by a lynch mob. And so they like run through the South, like getting away from the lynch mob, and they end up in Charleston, where they jump off a pier into the ocean to escape.
Just a little extra time waiting on the phone, or you're calling people. You're a telemarketer, that person that calls in the night that we love to listen to the first few words and go, hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was
doing. A
doing.
little extra time. Okay, I understand. You said you mentioned Seventh-day Adventist.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing you grew up in a religious household.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how does that go over with your Seventh-day Adventist mom family? And you're really gravitating toward the blues, and I'm guessing you're kind of sulky. You got a teen in the house, and it's like, what's going on with my kid?
Well, my family they've all since left the Seventh-day Adventist Church praise report. But I think my mom always knew, even as a little girl, one, that I would find a stage and perform on it, and two, that I would never be bound by something like religion. I never really believed as a child. I kind of just humored people and played along because that's what the adults wanted. But I think that she recognized something in my spirit that was just like waiting to break free. And I'm the middle child of 5. And so people, my family, they were just like, okay, you're the oddball. Like,
oh no, you were that stereotypical the problem middle child.
Yeah, whenever there was a fight with our siblings, I was always one part of it. It was always someone fighting me. Yeah.
Let's get the story and how you were discovered. What was your big break?
I've had several breaks, but what kind of set everything in motion with my career, I was performing at a club in Nashville called The Basement, and the 2 men in the crowd who would be my manager and my producer, they saw me playing out, and they asked if I was interested in going into the studio and fleshing out some of my ideas. And I was a student at the time, and I was just like, okay. So it's been a process over the past 3 years of working with Roger Mutino, who co-produced my album with me, and my manager, John Turner, of just like writing and getting to know like my instrument, myself as a woman, and finding my band. It's been a very organic process. And then I self-released Stuck in the South 2 years ago. And from that, it just kind of all snowballed.
And you've been very calculated in how you decided to release this album. I mean, it's not even fully out yet, is it?
No.
You're doing the tour, but it's not out. You've released a couple of the singles.
Yeah.
What was your thinking in that?
I think my thinking was, one, maintain a little bit of mystique. I didn't want to give away the whole shop on the internet. I didn't want to be an artist that lived in your back pocket in your phone, and also I was still writing the album while I was releasing these songs, and I didn't want to just like come out and be like, this is who I am, like this is my brand, like this is my image, and it's like, I don't know, I'm a sloppy human being, and I feel like I'm most powerful live. I think that's where I make my greatest impact. And I think there's something to be said in this day and age where you can have anything whenever you want it, that no, you can't have my art whenever you want it. I'll give it to you when I'm ready.
What do you want someone who comes to a concert, what do you want them to leave with? What is it you're giving?
I want them to feel known. That's what I asked for from my artists. I want to feel reaffirmed in my humanity and all its warts and ugliness, and I want them to feel okay with those parts of themselves. I want them to see someone on stage being like, see, like, we don't have to be picture perfect and, you know, like pop star ready all the time, and, you know, it's okay to be angry and eerie and creepy, and it's all right. We're human beings. We're not human brands.
Now, we have some people that are in the audience. I want to give an opportunity really quickly. If there's anyone here that has a question, even your bandmates, this is your opportunity to ask something that's going to really show us something about her that nobody else. You guys have the dirt, right? You know something that's really interesting. They're laughing. They're smiling. I almost want to pull them up and say, okay, tell us something that, I'll ask you then this.
Yes.
What is it? Two questions. Something that's out there that people say about you that's totally wrong. You guys got this wrong. This is not me. And something that you hear that's right. This is right.
Well, my name is pronounced Adia.
Okay. Number one.
And I don't know, I've gotten like weird story, like I've told people that, you know, I've visited Europe and I've spent time over there, and they've like turned it into this whole yarn of I was a ballet dancer and teaching ballet in Paris.
Wait a minute now. You got to give them a break, Adia. There was some dancing in your past.
There was
right?
dancing.
They're just getting a little, you know, they're adding some stuff for you.
No, I think that the main misconception about me is that I run around angry all the time. And that's not true. Is it, Ban?
Okay, we're hearing half the time. You can't hear half the time, and I'm seeing smiles, so I'm thinking she's not the angry,
look at Alex.
full
He's
of
like, I
angst.
plead the fifth. No, I think that there's this rush kind of to paint me as like an angry black woman and simplify, like, okay, well, that's your genre. Like, that's what you are. And that's how we're going to treat you. And it's just like, I mean, if you want to do that, that's to your own detriment, but it's not who I am.
It's not who you are. And who you are, people will get a better view when they purchase. Now, tell us, when is the date, release date for the album?
May 13th.
May 13th.
Yes.
And are you working on the next already?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now I have a question. You know, it's a progress. Everybody's a work in progress. We grow, we change, and I think when you write things, it's out of who you are at the time.
Absolutely.
Who will this next Adia Victoria be? The one that you're working on for this next album?
What's funny, I would like to use this next album to explore my ancestry. Being a black woman from the Deep South, my lineage only goes back so far until it's like a question mark of who the hell am I? So what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of like going back into my imagination and connecting with like the women that came before me, whose blood runs through my veins, and I'm like, who are you? Like, what was it like for you to be a slave? Like, what was it like to have your humanity completely taken from you and distorted and warped? And like, what ways did you fight back against that? Because I know they did. And I'm writing these songs for my ancestors, for these women that came before me, and in their voices. So I think it's going to be less me, autobiographical, and more of this is my chance for my ancestors to sing their songs.
Adia Victoria.
Adia Victoria.
Adia.
Medea.
Am I trying to say, God, beyond, you know, let's just say this as we wrap up. We really do appreciate you being a part of the Baton Rouge Blues Fest. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we hope you enjoy and get a chance to enjoy some of the other great blues artists that are here. It's an amazing thing.
I'm excited. I'm going to go eat a po' boy as big as my head now.
Okay. Thank you.
Cheers.
We appreciate having you.